I love reading. Ever since I first learned that those weird squiggles meant things. Even when the news tickers in Times Square were too fast for a young JJ to read, I loved reading. Once upon a time, I loved books too. Almost everywhere I went, a book of mine was somewhere nearby. Whether it was in the backseat on a long car ride, hidden under my desk in school. I mean, I've never been too big on that paying attention nonsense. Or just what I did on Sundays at home. I was an absolutely voracious reader. And yet, around the 11th grade, I was 15, my interest in books sort of just fell off dramatically. Don't get me wrong, I still love reading. It's just in more bite-sized chunks, like news articles or Wikipedia. I even earned myself an extra semester in college by developing a mild obsession with the SCP Wiki. Don't worry about it. So clearly, reading and I are still really good friends. But I haven't really been able to make myself pick up a book for more than a couple minutes at a time. And that makes me sad. To this day, I haven't experienced anything that hits quite like returning to reality when someone pries you out of a book. I have hour-long commutes that are crying out for really good reads, and there's so much knowledge and so many good stories that are in books, and I'm tired of missing out. So here's the plan. Well, before anything, I should probably get some books. The ones behind me aren't exactly for show, but I mean, I've read most of those already, and can't make a video about reading without new books. So let's fix that. First things first, I figure I better check out the bookstore because that's the home of books, right? Super fresh ones, always clean. We all love bookstore books, right? Like, I have really fond memories going to the bookstore near me and just straight up lounging. Like, my mom and I, we wouldn't even buy books half the time. We would just be chilling. It was a vibe, right? And I think that part of that also is like why I started enjoying reading when I was a kid. Like, mom didn't like make it a boring, oh, you have to read. No. It was like, it was an adventure. It was fun, right? And that's something that I can appreciate. All right, here we are, the bookstore. I think it's closed. They done closed my favorite bookstore. Dang it.
I lied, actually. They just moved to a smaller space about a block away. I love the bookstore. The smell of bindings and paper and wood hits you right as you enter, and the environment just feels super cozy for some reason. I'm not complaining about that, I'm just saying. And there's just so many fresh books, odds and ends. There's no way that it's all going to interest you, and there's no time to get to everything. But that's okay, the fun is in the browsing. I can tell I've been coming to look at books for a really long time too, because they have some classics that I read when I was a kid, and I don't know, it's just wow, sorry, I've had a bit of a moment. I think bookstores might be the only spaces on earth that I have anything approaching nostalgia for. Unfortunately, books are expensive, so I didn't buy anything. I did, however, head over to the grocery store like right next door and get a couple of these lovely pretzel sticks. So much bread for only 99 cents. I think I'm in love.
Bookstore books. I bought these two books at the bookstore a long time ago, way before I was broke. How To, I kind of started reading, but like I never got around to finishing for some reason. And Out Cold has just been sitting on my desk collecting dust for like 2 years at this point. It seems super interesting, but I keep on finding excuses to not pick it up. That changes today though. I'm gonna try brute forcing it, just sitting down and forcing myself to read book until something clicks.
Out Cold was great, unironically really well written in my opinion. It's a history and science book, and those are two topics that it's really easy to mess up and make boring, especially if the writer has a background in history or science, like Jekyll has. But bro is very good at remembering to tell you a story or two, and generally does his best to give us insights on people's reasonings and the thought processes behind what they were doing as much as possible, while also not glossing over the impacts of their experimentation. It's a difficult balancing act, and our author did a fine job. I could go on and on at length, but I will spare you the details so you have a reason to read it.
Did you guys know I have access to Hammer Space? I'm so serious. Look at this. You guys remember the pretzel stick from earlier, right? Anyways, visiting the bookstore and seeing the price for every book just reminded me of how important libraries are. They really are just like the people's bookstore. I can really appreciate just going in, borrowing something, bringing it back so the next person can use it again and again and again. Libraries are really cool, and it's a shame that they're not in a golden age. Anyways, I'm sure this bus is gonna get here eventually, so let me just...
I love the library. I mean, it's not the greatest place for filming since you gotta keep quiet and not disturb everyone, but that's okay. Not many people know this, but the main library in Brooklyn is shaped like a book. and had a Jay-Z exhibit going on when I visited for some reason. Anyways, there's just something so democratic about having so much knowledge and info and community gathered in one space, and it's almost all accessible for free. It doesn't matter who you are, what you're doing, or how much money you have. You can visit the library to do work someplace nice and quiet, to do research, to find a book they didn't have at the store, literally whatever. You can even take most of the books with you, provided you bring them back within 2 weeks' time.
I'm glad I came to the library. Sure, it's been like hovified, and I couldn't really do all that much inside because, you know, library quiet. I don't want to disturb people, but like, it was nice. I miss being in there, you know? I'm glad that I got the books I got. Plus, there's also the added element of I have to return these. And if there's one thing that motivates me, it's the stress of deadlines. It is now 2 weeks later. My library books are due tomorrow, and I have gotten a grand total of 15 pages into Hiroshima. However, I do have a plan. Using my unprecedented access to hammer space, I got myself some snacks. I'm gonna grab my book, I'm gonna see if I can bribe myself to finish an ungodly amount really quickly with sweets. I am very mature and have normally functioning reward circuitry.
Don't get me wrong, things started out great. My college semester started. I took the book with me to campus, on the train. I had it literally everywhere. I was determined to get through it. But then homework happened, and my incredible time management skills. I guess I shouldn't have counted my chickens before they hatched. I finished one book pretty easily, and I made the mistake of thinking that things were done and dusted. Forgot about these silly little things called habits that need building. At least that's what I told myself.
I just remember that renewing books in the library is like a thing you can do. So, I'm about to go and try and do that before the place closes. Good luck to me.
Did I mention that the library closes at 8?
I made it about 40% of the way through Hiroshima before deciding that I've had enough. I honestly think I'm not grown enough for this yet. It's a little too droll and historical for my tastes. It's the same sort of book as Out Cold, just written for a more buttoned up audience, which I don't know if you noticed, but that ain't me. I would have given up on it earlier too if there wasn't a legitimately interesting section on Robert Oppenheimer. That man was a character. I can tell why they decided to make a biopic on him, and also why they chose Peaky Blinders guy to play him. Don't get me wrong, I tried my best to just power through it, but my brain started feeling like oatmeal, and that feeling reminded me of why I stopped enjoying books. I'm gonna blame College Board. It's definitely College Board. If you've taken AP classes or studied for the SAT or subject tests, if you're particularly lucky, like me, you know. If you haven't though, let me catch you up. College Board runs AP classes and the SAT, which is basically America's college entrance exam, sort of. Now, this company is a waste of resources at best, but they are annoyingly basically the gatekeeper of higher education in the US. So if teachers and schools want their kids to have a fighting chance of getting into the college of their dreams and crippling student debt, they have to teach the stuff that'll fly on AP exams in the SAT, namely 5-paragraph essays and analytical reading. Now, if you want to become an analytical reader, you gotta cast away your dreams of creativity and subjectivity and interpretation and death of the author. And you gotta pretend that interesting reads don't exist. It's not even necessarily that the books are boring per se. I personally wouldn't have read The Grapes of Wrath if I didn't have to, but it wasn't bad. Anyways, I digress. It's because you don't really get to go at your speed or your pace, and you don't really take time for anything to sink in. College Board has decided on the answer, and you have to see it their way, and you have to do it now. That is what strips the fun out. Reading becomes this thing that you have to do in a specific way and with specific rules. It turns reading into a joyless chore, and the sparkle fades fast. Honestly, it's just a matter of retraining / reminding myself to read for me. I'm not delivering a book report to a corporation with arbitrary criteria. It's for the fun of it.
Okay.
Thank you, Dad. My read books again initiative seems to be in danger again. And it's because I keep trying to power through things that I'm not exactly enjoying instead of just giving up and trying another way. I sound like I'm at a retail job interview. Anyways, I need to de-chorify this reading, and fast. And I think I have a solution. During times like this, I often use the phone a friend option, or well, Discord call them as it were. My friend Ray is a massive reader, theoretical YouTuber, and great conversationalist. So naturally, I decided to tap his services for help.
Hey, okay, so now try this book and see if you can't stick to it. Thank me later. Oh, and also, happy birthday?
I started reading this on the way to class this morning, and the pages flew by. Did I mention that I had only spent about an hour reading the book at this point? I devoured it so fast I didn't even have a chance to record myself reading. That was a good book. It was witty, real, honest, down to earth, and it was a wild story too. The man burned down a house, started trapping, started running a payday loan company, became a DJ, stopped trapping, escaped the South African trap, and way more, all in one book. It was gripping, it was funny, and it really shows that Trevor Noah's writing staff hoed him on The Daily Show. That man is funnier than he's given credit for.
Top of the morning! Wait, hey y'all, you're JJ here. If you made it this far into the video, you're literally one of the few, the proud. Anyways, I know I've been uploading like once every other month, but that just means that Fresh JJ is an event. Also, real quick, big shout out to my patrons, Sun, Spider, Ancient Accounts, and Channel Zero. They helped make this whole thing possible, and I would not be able to buy books without the gang. You too could be on this list if you just click the Patreon link in the description down below. Also, I'm on Blue Sky and Insta now if you want to follow me. Don't ask me about Twitter. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.